Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the 30 Days Growth Marketing course. Hi, Swati.
Hi, Rishabh.
Great. So now we're going to go into the growth funnel, Swati. So we discussed the A3R3 funnel, and the next three lessons for day 14, 15, and 16 are going to cover the entire funnel a little bit more in detail than what we've discussed before, right? So today we're going to start with the awareness and the acquisition phase. So the first two phases of the funnel. And you remember from our second lesson, day two, the difference between digital marketing and growth marketing, that digital marketing covers the awareness and acquisition stages of the funnel, but growth marketing goes throughout the entire funnel. So it's a full funnel marketing approach, right?
Yes.
So it's honestly, awareness and acquisition is something that you would already know of pretty well, since you've come from a digital marketing background, and social media channels are great ways to build awareness and also to get acquisition. Anyone who's watching this course who has a digital marketing background will be easily able to figure out like awareness and acquisition. But other things are probably less intuitive for people who are transitioning from digital marketing to growth marketing, right? However, there is something interesting with awareness, which not a lot of people talk about, is the different stages of awareness and how we can create content for all of these different stages, right? So the stages of awareness, or the levels of awareness of the customer, there are actually 5 stages of awareness, right? And I'm going to take you through it one by one. The first one is the unaware phase. So before even we get into this discussion, we need to understand that every business, whether it's a product business or a services business, SaaS, whatever, is eventually solving a problem for the customer, right? And sometimes in startups or business entrepreneurs use this term problem, and people think it has to be like a pain point slash problem, which is really a pressing issue for the person to solve. But that's not true. It could be a smaller problem. It could be just a small pain point, and sometimes it could be something that you're not even aware of, right? And look at some startups which are very successful, where you wouldn't have sort of imagined that your life would be incomplete without them. And Instagram is a good example. If in the absence of Instagram, would you have thought that you really needed Instagram?
Never, no.
Right? So there could be this phase where the customer is completely unaware that they even have that problem, right, which needs to be solved. In the absence of Facebook, you probably wouldn't have thought that I need a Facebook for my life to go on, right? So there are many of these apps where, specifically social media apps, where you wouldn't have really thought that, this is something that I'm missing in my life right now. But then there are often times that you also feel, hey, I wish an app like this existed. Or there are times when you feel, I wish there was a solution to this problem using either an app or a product or something like that. It doesn't have to be a tech startup, but it could be what if there was a product. Like recently, I had this thing of, I had some pain in my shoulders and back. So I wanted to, I was thinking, there should be a product which I can use to massage my back myself instead of having to go for a massage every time. And turns out there are products that do that, just that I wasn't aware of those products, but I was aware of the problem. I was like, hey, I've got a problem. Is there a solution? I did not know if there is a solution or not. Okay. And in that case, typically what I did is I just started searching on an e-commerce store, self back massager, right? So that was the keyword I was looking for. And then whoever has done enough optimization on that keyword showed up on the top results on that e-commerce store. And then I became solution aware that, hey, there is something out there and this is what I need. So the solution is that you can actually, if I do a Google search for back massagers, I'll be able to figure out that there is a back massager that you can use yourself. So now I'm solution aware, but now which one should I buy, right? Like that's the next step. So then I found that Philips has their own back massager. There are 2 or 3 brands that make their own, the back massagers. But now I was product aware. So I know that, okay, Philips makes this product that I can use to massage my back myself. I don't have to rely on going to a massage shop to do this.
Okay.
Right. And then finally, I was like, I already like Philips. The product looks good. I go on their product page. I know you, I love you, and I want to buy. Like I'm fully aware.
Mm.
So that's like the fifth stage of awareness, fully aware. So within awareness, you see that there are actually 5 stages. So if you were to expand the growth funnel, actually you could break down every step in the funnel into different stages as well.
Oh,
So if you were to break down every step within the stage of the funnel, it would have its own constituent steps as well. So look at awareness, for example, we just discussed that these are the 5 different levels of awareness, right? So awareness is also something which is lesser talked about than acquisition, because acquisition is like obviously more popular, because in digital marketing, mostly people will talk about how to acquire customers, how to get new leads, how to get new people to buy your product. But it's important to
yeah.
understand that awareness is so important. Let's say you're launching a new product or a new startup, it becomes even more important, right?
Mm.
So here is an example. You could either make a new version of a product that already exists, in which case you will know that the customer is more or less aware, right? Or you could make a completely new product from scratch, which does not exist. And then you will actually have to build awareness, and you'll have to spend a lot more time building awareness because the person does not really know that this is something that can be solved for.
Yeah, got it.
So think of an example where there is an app and you just make another app that does the same thing. Right? So there is a target audience for this. You just made a probably an app with some better features or some better UI UX. So you'll need less customer education in that case. But if you're building a completely new app, which no one knows that this could be done, and this is something completely new, you'll have to spend money on awareness. You'll have to spend time on awareness.
So,
Right?
yeah, I mean, now TikTok is being banned in, like it's already banned in India, but they're talking about banning it in US as well. So there are already apps that have come up as a replacement.
Right. Yeah, and think of it like this also, right? Like the TikTok was one of the earliest ones to do short video, right? And in that point of time, people were probably using YouTube or other longer video apps. So this was sort of something new. I mean, I wouldn't have thought that I need an app just to watch short videos, right? Probably not. So this is also sort of a new concept, even though you will think that it's also a social media app, but it's very different. So there is a new app recently which has come up, which is called Polywork, which is like a LinkedIn, but for collaborating with other people for partnership opportunities, collaboration opportunities, guest blogging, podcasting, and so forth. I would have thought that LinkedIn was enough, but after I started using Polywork, I found that there's definitely a case to be made to use such an app separately outside of LinkedIn. But to spread awareness, one thing that they did is they launched on Product Hunt. And on Product Hunt, there is a huge audience which is very similar to their target audience. So that's like a good way to do it, which I call OPCs, or other people's communities. So to make people aware about your product or service, you can discuss the product or launch the product in a community where your target audience exists. So that's like a neat way of spreading awareness. Of course, awareness ad campaigns are always, very effective. So if I'm a new brand, I can run top of funnel ad campaigns on Facebook, Instagram, Google, etc., wherever my target audience is, and thereby spread awareness about my product or service. There's also forums and threads like Reddit, Quora. These are good places to spread awareness as well. However, you have to be a little bit careful about maintaining a good ratio between adding value and then placing your product, service, business idea, etc. I also do a lot of guest blogging. So I write blogs on other blogging platforms and websites. So their audience can see what I do. So they'll be made aware about my product or service, right?
Sure.
Social media is a great one. If you can run campaigns where it reaches other people's feeds who are not your followers, then you're improving your awareness. Good example of that is what we do on LinkedIn, right? So on LinkedIn, let me open my LinkedIn as well. So LinkedIn or YouTube, for me personally, as a personal brand, are like good ways of spreading awareness. So if you look at any of these posts, I am typically reaching. So this post got 12,400 impressions, etc. And I'm quite sure a lot of these impressions are not just my followers, but also people outside of my my followers. And you know this when you look at the comments, and a lot of those people are not my first connections. So what's happening is, obviously I've like added some of the people, but when these second level connections are coming and commenting on the post, like look at these, right? Second level, second level, second level, second level. So their followers, their network, first of all, can also see that they've commented on this. Also, they are not connected to me. So my awareness metric is expanding, right?
Yeah.
So some second level connections are tagging other connections who are also my second level connections. And then that makes it reach to third level connections. So those kinds of things are very good for awareness.
Right.
People who were never aware about me are now aware about me. So this is sort of a personal branding example. And you could do it for a business as well, of course, very similar approach. And with YouTube videos, you know, I've found that that is a very good channel. Twitter Threads is another one, which I don't personally use a lot. I focus on LinkedIn and YouTube. But it's very easy to go viral on Twitter if you can produce good quality content consistently. And that also improves awareness. So these are some good metrics for awareness. And yeah.
So we have these metrics for awareness. So do you recommend using a few of these according to your business or your needs?
Right. Yeah, I mean, these are more or less the campaigns. I think we'll get into the metrics after this, the metrics discussion in terms of exactly what to measure after this. But I think, right. So in terms of the kind of business you are, I would take a few examples. Let's say if you're e-commerce, I would say ad campaigns are going to be the most effective if you're D2C, because you want to reach out to as many people as possible in a very short period of time, right? And it could take much more time to find guest blogs and then translate that traffic into people who buy from you. That funnel, I wouldn't even experiment for an e-commerce client. I would initially just do awareness ad campaigns if you were e-commerce. If you were SaaS, I would do OPCs or other people's communities. So if it's relevant, I would launch it on Product Hunt and other websites. I would discuss it on entrepreneurship threads on Reddit and Quora, etc. If you're an agency, for example, I would do guest blogging, and I would try to get sponsored in other people's newsletters. That's another thing. If you were building a personal brand slash, if you're a consultant, etc., I would definitely focus on social media as, awareness. Of course, awareness ad campaigns in social media have some sort of overlap because the ad campaigns would run on social media indirectly. So yeah, definitely would recommend based on the kind of business it is. Yeah. So what to measure, right? How do you measure awareness? What exactly do you measure to see if your awareness is good or bad, etc.? In my case, just like this example I showed you, I am looking at this very qualitatively. So this is not a very quantitative analysis. I'm just seeing, okay, how many of my second level connections, etc., have commented. But then these are some metrics that you can use to do more quantitative analysis. So you can see traffic to your landing page, right? Traffic to your landing page, I consider it as awareness. Now, there is an ongoing discussion about whether traffic should be awareness or acquisition. Just to solve that problem for everyone, it is awareness. Okay. Now, impressions on your content and messaging. So when I look at this number here, which is 12,404 impressions, that is pure awareness, right? So this number would be awareness. Okay. Similarly, on YouTube, if you look at the video views / impressions, those kinds of things are also awareness, right? The more impressions you have, the more views you have, the more people are likely aware about that you exist, or as a business or as a person, a personal brand. Time spent on your content, I think of it as awareness on the top of the funnel, but then this metric also applies to other stages of the funnel in different ways. So if you already acquired a customer and they're spending time on your content, then it's retention, right? But if it's top of funnel customer, they're spending time, then it's awareness. So podcasts, right? Podcast impressions, people listening to your podcast. Now, of course, this applies to different stages of the funnel as well, but if they're not your customers, if they're not acquired, then this also can be considered as awareness. Right? So these kinds of things you can measure. I'm sure from social media, you do measure. What kind of metrics do you measure for awareness from social media?
Basically reach.
Yeah,
Yeah, how
exactly.
many it's
Post,
reached.
post
Yeah.
reach, impressions, those sorts of things will all be. Then you also measure engagement, right?
Mm.
So what is engagement as for you? What kind of metric is that?
I think it would be acquisition, because at that point the person is interacting with your posts. It could
Right.
also be awareness, because like you said, video views are awareness, but once they start interacting with you, they start commenting, I think we've kind of acquired them.
Right. So I mean, it's a interesting way of thinking because it's actually a metric which can apply to many stages. But for me personally, I just treat it as awareness.
Okay.
I treat engagement as a deeper level of awareness. If you are aware and you are interacting, you could also be, however, a customer. You could be already acquired and you could be interacting with the post. So it's slightly complex. I think people try to make it very simple, saying, okay, this is always awareness, but that's not true. You know, one metric could apply to different stages of the funnel, because think of it like this: it's not the metric that sits somewhere in this funnel. It's actually the person who sits somewhere in this funnel, right? So it's one person. Let's consider your audience. What's the business example that you want to take? Give me any business example.
So like we've talked multiple times, an e-commerce
Yeah, fashion
brand.
e-commerce example, right? So this person might be actually commenting on your post that her shipment has not come yet.
Mm.
So is this awareness? No, she's already placed an order. So it's the person who is in those different stages, but we're trying to just generalize in terms of what metrics, and it's fine to generalize because then you can, at least place, okay, if I have 1,000 visitors on my website, I know that 1,000 people are being made aware about my product, but it'll not always be exactly the same number. Let's say 10% of those people are returning customers. So now it's not 1,000, but only 900 people who are being made aware. So it's slightly more complicated because it's the person who sits on the stage of the funnel and not the metric. But we typically measure these metrics in that stage of the funnel. I think that's safe to say, but it's hard to say that this metric can only apply for awareness or this metric can only apply for acquisition. Right? Makes
So
sense.
I think it's hard to get the exact number always, because
Exactly. But growth marketeers would typically generalize this by saying, I got so much traffic on my website, so this is an awareness metric. Honestly, it's not always true. Think of email open rates, right? It's a more complicated discussion to have there. What is an email open rate? Where does it lie? It does not lie any stage of the funnel, right? What if it's a cold email? What if it's a referral marketing campaign and you're sending an email for people to refer other friends? Then it relies in referral. What if it's an email for abandoned cart and people can then complete their payment? Then it's a revenue. What if it's an email to get people back in your funnel if they haven't placed an order in the last 6 months? Then it's retention. What if it's an email to tell people that you are almost there finishing your free trial for the SaaS product and come back on the app and try it? That's an activation metric. So depends on what the email is for. It could apply to every stage of the funnel. So very hard to place every metric in a stage of the funnel. But overall, these kinds of metrics typically fall in the awareness.
Okay.
Important to go deep into this because I know that, a lot of courses will just say, okay, this metric lies in this stage of the funnel. While it's okay to say that because people need some direction, it's also important to stress on the point that, it's not always going to be true. Right. Awesome. Let's move from this reach, impressions, visitor, traffics, clicks, which is all awareness, into more of acquisition. So to explain the difference, we are going from reach, impressions, visitors, traffic, clicks to more like inquiries, subscribers, downloads, email captures, phone number captures, incoming calls, chat box inquiries, pixel traffic. Like these are things where now the user has gone from just someone who's aware about you, right? But also to be part of your, subscription list, lead list, CRM, whatever you call it, depends on your business. So these are things where, you can actually directly access this person, right? If you have an email ID of a person, you can access that person. You are right also in the sense that if you have a comment.
So now they're showing interest in like simple.
Right. Also, you said comments on social media, right? That way you can access that person. So it's sort of also a good way of thinking about acquisition, that you have access to this person. They've subscribed to your list. They have given you their phone numbers. They have opted into your newsletter, things like that. They have signed up on your landing page, right? They may or may not be paying customers, right? So
Yeah.
that's another thing that's important there. So let's say, for example, HubSpot, which is sort of a good platform, CRM tools, etc. And they have a lot of these resources where you have ebooks, guides, etc. So I'm going to just click on this ebooks, guides, and more. And then it says content marketing strategy. Let's click on that one. Beginner's guide, download for free. Now they're asking me for my first name and last name. And in this step, when I fill this in, they're going to ask me for my email address, etc. And then I will be basically a subscriber.
Okay.
Right. So they gave me a lead form. In exchange, I'm going to get something, the ebook, and I'm going to become acquired. Right.
Yeah.
If you look at an e-commerce website, you'll see often a pop-up to get a discount, and you put in your email ID, you are acquired. So those kinds of things fall into acquisition. And equivalent to that, what you can do is you can run these webinars, you can have lead magnet downloads, you can promote free courses, just like this course is free. Now people can watch it on YouTube, but they can also sign up on the email list, so they will get the lessons in their inbox. So in the sense, we are acquiring them, right? And when the YouTube video reaches more people, it's going to increase the awareness. So we are getting the awareness from YouTube, and then we are getting the acquisition on the email list.
Yeah, right. And it's the same. Basically, the source is different. The video is same, but in one stage we're acquiring them.
Right.
At the other, it's just awareness.
Right. And in the content funnel, once we finish those 30 days email marketing, we can then upsell them and move them into the revenue stages and so forth. Right. And having this 30-day is also not just acquisition, but also activation, because they will be with us through this journey, which is something we'll discuss in the next lesson. We'll go into activation in the next lesson. But yeah, that's all we have for awareness and acquisition. Any questions?
Yeah, I mean, when we look at the funnel, it's just awareness, acquisition, what we can think in a sentence or two, but now it's so well explained, and we've gone so much deeper in it. There's much more understanding to it.
Awesome. Awesome. That's great to know. So thank you everyone for watching. And in the next lesson, we're going to discuss the activation and the retention stages of the funnel. See you then. Bye.